I've never really thought about my life. Maybe because I'm an actor, you're always thinking of the future, not really thinking on the past. So this is going to be really interesting.
You had a brief career as a photographic model.
Nude modelling. I couldn't resist these gorgeous women.
How much of a naughty boy were you?
I was as naughty as I could possibly get away with, which is pretty naughty.
Nigel Hayes. This is quite an unusual situation for you, isn't it? Because it can't be many times when you sit down with another man who is better looking, more charming,
Yep.
more popular. How do you feel?
I feel good.
Quietly confident.
I don't know how to feel, if you know what I'm saying. I wondered whether I should do some mental research. And I didn't know really what to research because I've never really thought about my life. I've just gone... Maybe because I'm an actor, you're always thinking of the future, not really thinking on the past. So this is going to be really interesting.
You are known as the charmer, on and off screen. I mean, do you consider yourself to be a charmer?
Yes. I mean, I try to be, because I think that's the way forward. I think it's best... You know, we live a certain amount of time, which isn't very long if you think about it in the scale of things, and I think a duty... Really, I've always thought my duty is to be as nice to people as I possibly can be, really.
But you've been an actor for over 50 years. It does prompt the question, because you're extremely youthful, obviously. How old are you?
I've lied about my age pretty much all the way through my life, yes.
That's why I'm curious as to whether you can finally fathom the truth to actually tell me the honest answer.
To begin with, I made myself older, which is a bit stupid, I know.
Why?
Well, I was going out with a girlfriend who was slightly older than me, but she thought she was younger. So I actually changed my passport.
I think that's punishable with 2 years in jail.
Is it? That would be interesting.
Just trying to rack up how many crimes we can get to by the end of the show.
Be about 10 years.
And when did you start lying about your age the conventional way, i.e.
Being younger?
Yes.
I don't know. Sort of a few years later, you know, I started going the other way.
How old are you?
I'm 65.
You get a point for honesty early in the interviews. This is a good sign.
Yeah.
You'd still get saucy fan mail. You were sent a drawing by a Coronation Street viewer. Rather explicit drawing of you and a woman together in bed.
Yes. That was very
From a Corrie fan.
I know. I used to get quite a lot of Corrie.
Suggesting that you would...
Yeah.
What?
Sort of meet up and, you know, get it together.
And were you know, on one level, were you horrified at this sort of forward approach by these women, or on the other hand, thinking, I'm 65, get in there?
I was so delighted. I just thought, you know, that's the best thing possibly happen.
Now, you had one very famous female royal fan.
Princess Diana. Yes.
Yeah.
I was great friends with her.
How did that start? How did you become friends?
I went to one of those do's that you go to, and I was an ambassador for Dunhill watches in those days, and I thought it would be nice to give her a watch. So I said to them, give us a watch and I'll give it to Princess Di. And she said, I gave it to her, and she was absolutely bowled over by it. She thought I'd given it to her, actually.
And did you dissuade her of that notion?
No.
Princess Diana basically thought you'd given her an expensive watch.
She wrote me a lovely thank you letter, which I've got.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you for the watch you never actually had to buy. You've said, and I quote here directly, that you spent many lovely times together at your flat.
She did come to have tea a couple of times. And looking at me in a strange way there. No, but it was very much...
I can't imagine many women went to your flat just for tea, Nigel.
Well, I was a very...
Over the years.
Good... I was very, very good.
Were you in love with her?
No, I wasn't in love with her, but I did adore her. Adored is different from in love. And also, she was married to Prince Charles. And he would have been really cross with her. It would have been an incredibly bad thing to do, I think.
But she would literally just call you up and pop round for tea. Does that not strike you as quite random?
It was random, but it was rather charming.
Yeah?
Yeah, I made a very good cup of tea.
And what would you talk about?
She'd say that life was difficult, and I was... I don't know... It was lovely. But
right, I'm sure it was lovely.
But,
I mean, I'm just trying to work out why this was happening.
I don't know if she wanted... She was keen to have a conversation with me.
She was keen on...
you know, just saying hi, what was I up to and stuff like that.
But she's the Princess of Wales.
She was, indeed.
As somebody that knew her well, somebody, you know, did she come round for tea and confide in you and so on? When she died, for you as her friend, what impact did that have on you?
Well, it was traumatic. I was in an aeroplane to Los Angeles, where I was working, and I got a taxi at LAX airport, and the driver said to me, she didn't make it, and I didn't know what he was talking about. And it wasn't until I got to the hotel that it's the commotion, and I was just so utterly shocked, like everybody.
When was the last time you spoke to her? Do you remember?
About a month before. That's what was so shocking, really. Terrible.
Let's turn to something happier. Your voice recently topped a poll as the one that passengers would find most reassuring on a flight. You beat Sean Connery, Hugh Grant, Stephen Fry and Joanna Lumley.
No.
You are the most reassuring voice a plane passenger could ever hear.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. We're cruising at 39,000 feet. Unfortunately, we've lost all engines. Don't panic. I'm with you.
Now, Nigel, you're one of the country's best-loved actors, and your life has also had its fair share of drama.
I went into this place, this psychiatric hospital. It's odd, isn't it? What, you can get yourself into such a corner. But, you know, I only have myself to blame, really.
Describe to me what was going through your mind then.
I couldn't speak anymore. I found difficulty speaking to anybody. Not just chatting, just speaking about anything.
There was, of course, the irony. There you are, the big TV love rat.
Yeah.
The charmer.
Yeah.
And here you are, to the public, looking like you're exactly the same in real life. Yeah. How did you get into this?
I fell head over heels in love with Polly, I think. And I think, what can you do about it? It's sort of a roller coaster.
But you weren't out of love with your wife.
No, but I wasn't. She was the most wonderful, wonderful woman. And I don't know, it's just... I don't know what people do. I'm never going to go through that again. I wanted to have them both, is really what I'm saying. It's a terrible thing to say, isn't it? I could have...
Well, it's an honest thing to say.
Yeah, Monday to Wednesday.
Did you ever suggest this to...
I don't think it would have gone down very well.
No.
No.
You said you felt suicidal at one stage. Was that true?
Yep. I thought
you just thought the easiest thing to do would be to kill yourself.
There was other... upsetting Caro, upsetting Polly, or not upsetting any of them. Well, of course, that would upset them both, probably, but... or that. So that was in the equation. Very, very dark moment, that, isn't it? I've never really thought about it. Never really talked about it. I've never talked about this to anybody, actually.
You had a little girl with Carol.
Yeah.
She was still very young.
Very young.
At the time.
Yeah.
It must have been heart-wrenching.
Heart-wrenching.
Did you ever doubt that you'd made the right decision?
Actually, no, I didn't. Again, because I don't look back, I just went forward.
Caro died from pneumonia in 2011.
Yes. We were all there, I mean...
Right.
I just couldn't believe it. Just like that. She had this cough, you know, and she was in London, and I said, you go and see my doctor. So she did. And she came back 10 days later, it was slightly worse, and within 10 days. It was just... I can't imagine. Terrible.
Did she ever forgive you, do you think?
She did forgive me.
And told you that?
Yes.
That must have been a great moment for you.
She did, during that period. And I wondered whether she knew she was dying. But she said, don't worry about me, you know, I do forgive you, I do love you.
How did that make you feel?
I felt a bit of a shit, really, because I put her through all that. But we did speak a hell of a lot. I mean, never a week went by that I didn't ring her, all through my life. So she was very important to me. She was a great person.
Let's go back right to the start of your life. You were born Nigel Allen Havers in London in 1951, raised in Suffolk. Your father was Michael, a prominent lawyer. Your mum's Carol, older brother called Philip. Now, you're from legal royalty. Your family's one of the most eminent legal families in the country.
Well, yes, I know that my grandfather was a High Court judge.
Wasn't he involved in the Ruth Ellis case?
He did. He
was the last person to be hanged in this country.
Yes, he was the judge at that trial.
I mean, amazing sort of piece of history, really.
Yes. And then he wrote to the Home Secretary and said, this woman must not be hanged. My brother has the letter, and the Home Secretary at the time ignored that. And then there was my dad, who was a QC and then became Lord Chancellor, and my brother is a very eminent QC. And then my aunt is Elizabeth Butler-Sloss, who was the head of the family division for years, and the most fantastic woman. She's really wonderful. And then there's me.
Now, you're not just plain old Nigel Havers. You have a title.
If you can call it a title. I mean, my father became Lord Chancellor, and because of that, his sons are given the title of the Honourable. And as he handed it to me, he said, nothing honourable about you. So that was charming. Yes.
So you're the Honourable Nigel Havers?
I am, but I mean, no, not as if I'm going to say, hello, the Ivy, can I book a table? Yes, it's the Honourable Nigel Havers. I don't think I'll be doing that.
When have you used that title to get yourself out of trouble?
Are you going to tell me I've used it?
Yes.
Oh, damn. I was just about to say I never used it in my life.
You used it with the American police once.
Oh, I did. You know, this was a pretty shocking story, really. I was with my agent and friend, Russ Lister, in Los Angeles, and we'd had a few bevies, you know, as one does, and I thought, I'm fine to drive home. Stupid thing to do, of course.
So you were drunk?
I'm being honest, yeah, I was a bit. And a police car obviously came behind me, and I didn't notice that, because you don't see the lights. I was doing 35 miles an hour, and he suddenly pulled me over, and said, where are you going? Have you been drinking? And I said, actually, I've had a couple of bevies some time ago, and I'm going home now. And he said, oh, you're English? And I said, yes. Do you have any identification? And I said, yes. And I pulled out my passport, and on it has the passport, the Right Honourable Nigel Havers. And he went, oh, my God, are you the son of a lord? And I said, yes. He said, get on your way, sir.
What was your early home life like?
It was totally happy. I was sent to boarding school quite young.
Six years old.
But that was not unusual then. So I didn't think, what are you doing to me? You know, I thought, no, I should be here. And in fact, you know, got on and enjoyed a lot of it and started acting there. So it was very important to me.
You were supposed to go to Eton like your brother, but you made a different decision.
I was just about to almost pack the bags to go, and my brother had told me that the first year you have to be, it's called fagging, it's called. You have to do everything for the senior boys.
You were like a mini servant to an older boy.
You have to even warm the loo seat.
Warm the loo seat?
Yeah. And I thought, that will end up in the punch-up with me. So I did all the research about going to a drama school at that age, and I found one in London, which I thought would be quite good. You
went to your new school, and the ratio of boys to girls was alarmingly in your favour.
15 to 1.
Something like that.
Yeah. Within the minute walking through the front door of this place, I had a smile the entire time.
You were living alone from the age of 13?
Yeah.
Really after that?
Pretty much, because my parents had a flat in the Temple, and they didn't use it. And there was one bit of the flat that was no-go area, which was my parents' bedroom, but I'd long ignored that. And I don't know how many people were in that bed, but...
well, how many were in that bed?
Quite a few, I think.
What?
Yeah.
How many?
3 or 4.
3 or 4 women were in the same bed with you?
Well, we were very tired, you know. It's been a long night.
You must have been bloody exhausted.
I was exhausted, and there were lots of people in the flat everywhere. And my father just opened the door and...
Looking at you in bed with all these women?
Yes. He said, I'm back in 1 hour, and you will face the music. And he went. So I got rid of everybody. An hour went by, then 2 hours, he never came back.
So this was a party you'd had?
Yeah, I had a Saturday night party with all the girls from drama school.
You became friendly with the Rolling Stones thanks to your father, I think, from one of the cases he took. What was that?
Well, it was the summer of '67. We were sitting at home, and up on the news came the Rolling Stones in drugs bust. And my father went, watching the show, he said, oh, hope to God they don't ask me to defend them. And then an hour goes by, the phone went, and my father despaired and came back and he said, I shall be defending the Rolling Stones. It was brilliant.
You must have thought, this is great.
It's the best thing.
And your dad got them off?
Yes. And he got to court, thousands of people, and Dad held my hand to cross the road. And I realised it was all sweaty. He was nervous. And all the gallery was full of kids screaming and cheering. And then Dad, I leant over to Mick and said, "Can you stop that?" And Mick said, "Sure." He went, "Shh, silence." 2 hours later, got on his feet. 2 hours later, the judge said, "Not guilty, thank you very much." But, you know, they would never have gone to America, if you think of it.
Right, because it would have stopped them going.
Because once you have those charges, you can't get into the country.
Yeah.
So the difference would have been enormous.
Incredible,
so, Mick, if you could send an extra...
I'm trying to work out their entire American career might be, I don't know, $2 billion over the years?
Yeah.
How much do you want?
We'll discuss that.
Watching you, I mean, getting quite emotional talking about walking with your father there.
Yeah.
He obviously meant a huge amount to you.
Huge. Very fair man. Never raised his voice. Never lost his temper. Never seen him lose his temper, ever. Just absolutely gorgeous man.
How much did Chariots of Fire change your life?
It was such a weird time. I worked really hard to be in it and got it in the end, which was wonderful. We had to train, as you know, very, very hard.
Didn't you get badly injured?
Yes. A week before we start filming, I clipped a hurdle and tripped and stuck my left arm out and I dislocated my shoulder and I broke my wrist. But I couldn't tell anybody because I never had made the film. But it broke...
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it mended.
You're actually really disfigured.
Yeah. Because I couldn't put a plaster on it because I would never have made the film.
That's freaky.
It broke and then I couldn't get it back straight.
Oh.
So it goes off at a bit of an angle.
Oh.
And I also lost a tendon there.
Oh, my God, what are you doing?
I'm just trying to get my thumb to work, but it doesn't work.
Now, you haven't just been an actor. You had a brief career as a photographic model.
Oh, I did. God, that was... You do know some stuff. I was working in a wine shop as an out-of-work actor, and this girl came into the shop and said, "Do you want to earn some extra money on the side?" And I said, "Of course. What would you like me to do?" She said, I'd like to... Would you be interested in doing some nude modelling? And I said, "Of course I would." Don't be ridiculous.
Has your answer to everything basically been yes, Nigel?
Pretty much. I very rarely do I turn anything down.
I'm not hearing many no's going on here.
No no's. Why? We only live once. So after work that day, I down to the studio, and then I did photographs simulating a sex scene with a girl who didn't speak any English. You know, pretend. A bit like Love Actually. You know?
Yeah, I know, that scene, yeah.
You know, where do you come from? I come from Germany. It was like that. And I got paid £100 in cash, and off I went.
And you enjoyed it?
It was fantastic.
You also worked as a researcher on the Jimmy Young Show on Radio 2.
I did.
And you brought in a star guest thanks to your dad's connections.
We had these meetings when they'd say, you know, guests for the week, and Margaret Thatcher had just become leader of the opposition. My father said, you know, you get her on the programme. So I suggested her, and they said, Jimmy said, no, I don't do politics. But I kept plugging away, and reluctantly he said, all right, get her in. So I wrote the questions out, because he never used to do his own questions. And I went down to the House of Commons, and with, I think, 30 questions, she went, I'll answer 1, 7, 9, 14. Anyway, she came into the studio, and Jimmy went, and he fell in love. I watched him going, oh, Margaret, sit down. And this love affair happened. It was a triumph, really, and I got real credit for doing it, even though it was my dad really suggested it, but I didn't tell them that.
Now, you have appeared in some non-acting roles. There was one memorable television programme for ITV which featured you interviewing famous celebrities about their life stories.
It's called OK TV. I loved every
You're
bit
aware that, obviously, that's my domain.
Yeah. Well, that's what you do, isn't it?
That's why you're here.
Oh, right, of course.
Basically, you were one removed from having sex with Shirley Bassey.
She was great, by the way.
You met Georgiana.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
We had friends, racing friends, because I'm crazy about horse racing. And so is she. And she'd been single for a long time. I was fairly newly single. and we just rocked on so well, and I'm so happy. Very happy.
Did you need somebody then?
I did. But she's fantastic. So I'm very lucky.
What is it that's making you so emotional now?
Just my luck, I think. And, we only live once, don't we? Make the most of it. And I'm just having this wonderful time.
Have you had a problem generally with fidelity?
I probably have, but not now.
Why did you, do you think?
I couldn't resist these gorgeous women. I also thought it was such a big deal.
It wasn't such a big deal?
No.
Do you think it is more now?
It is more now.
Is that a good or bad thing?
I think it's, I mean, I don't know how to answer that question. It's a good thing that I'm totally faithful now.
How much of a naughty boy were you?
I was as naughty as I could possibly get away with, which is pretty naughty.
Have you learned how to be a better husband, do you think, through the process of 3 marriages?
And the key is to do exactly what you're told, you know. And I'm happy to be being told what to do.
How do you think she'll be feeling about you unburdening yourself?
I didn't tell her about doing this show, because I know she hates me doing these sort of things.
You didn't tell your wife you were doing the show?
No.
You're doing a show with me about every intimate aspect of your life.
Yeah.
And you don't tell your wife.
No, because it would really hack her off, I think. So I decided not to tell her, which is one way of doing it. And then on Friday, I thought, well, I better fess up.
Just a few days ago.
Yes. And she said, oh, for God's sake. And she went off. She said, disappeared, slammed the door. And I thought, oh, it might be a Holiday Inn night tonight. and then she came out and she said, OK, here's the deal. You know I wanted a dog for the last 5 years. I'm getting one. Deal or no deal? I said, shake on it. So it was fine.
So you do the show,
yeah.
Your wife gets a new dog.
Yeah, actually, it's win-win for me, because I've always wanted another dog, so it's fine.
Now, you are very meticulous about what you eat, or rather what you don't eat. You don't eat at all during the day, is that right?
I try not to. No, I generally try to eat only one meal a day. It seems to be the right way.
In the evening?
In the evening, yeah.
So you just go most of the day with nothing?
I can, yeah.
What about when you're performing?
I'm better off without any food.
Really?
Yeah. It's the nervous thing, really. It's all about nerves, I think. And as I spend most of my professional life pretty much shitting myself.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I mean, because it's always a fairly nerve-wracking thing. What I do is always sort of, even from a voiceover...
You get nervous doing a voiceover?
Well, you know, you want to be really good. And I never sit back on my laurels, so to speak, so...
I've told you you've had the same waist size for, like, 50 years.
Yeah, I think I probably have.
What is it?
It's sort of 30 inches or something.
30 inches?
Yeah. What's yours?
Well, my wrist's about 30 inches.
I'm not getting into a fight with you then.
Let's talk about your parents for a moment again. Your dad sadly passed away in 1992. Your mum, Carol, now in her late 80s.
Yeah.
What will she make of all the ups and downs of your private life?
I think she knows all about it. I don't keep anything from her.
You told her everything?
Yeah, yeah. Everything.
And has she been shocked, appalled?
I don't think as much that can shock my mother.
Nothing shocked her?
No. No, she is...
Did she ever say to you, Nigel, it would be really good if you could just, for one sustained period of, say, a week, keep your trousers up?
No, she wouldn't say that.
How would she phrase it?
She'd say, tell me what happened. Oh, wonderful.
I get the feeling you've been kind of working out what you really think about your life as we've gone.
You're right about that. As I said, I wasn't lying when I said I'd never look back. This is the first time anyone's sort of... Because I can't move around, can I? I'm sat here in this very comfortable, if I may say so, chair, and with nowhere to hide, nowhere to go. So I've had to really face up to a few things, which is really interesting.
Do you like the person that we've been exploring?
I don't know. I think I am a team player, so I want to be part of a team. I don't want to be on my own, to be honest.
You're certainly a team with Sue Nichols, who said you're a very good kisser.
She's also a very good kisser, if I may say so.
There was a little frisson there.
Yeah.
Anything you want to...
No, she's just the most wonderful woman. I remember Roger Moore told me that whenever he does a bed scene, he'd always say to the girl before, "Excuse me, I want to apologise now if I get an erection." And then he'd pause and he'd say, "And if I don't." so you basically cover all the territory. And I did a couple of bed scenes with Sue, and I said that to her.
Can't believe you're talking about your erections with Audrey from Coronation Street.
I mean, it was a funny thing.
Is there no limit?
There is no limit.
Will Lewis Archer be returning to the street?
I would love to, actually, because I do owe Gail 40 grand at the moment.
You do?
And I think, as an honourable man, I'd like to pay that back. I have to say, it was wonderful doing the show.
Yeah, of all the things you've done, you know, when people, very, very accomplished actors, go into Coronation Street, what is it that surprises you about the show?
How wonderful the people are. The first day I walked through the gates of Corrie, there's a sort of guard there. He said, "I never thought I'd see Nigel Havers in Coronation Street." And I said, "I'm here to posh it up."
After 50 years in the business, is there a great ambition left for you?
Any ambitions, it was always you're shortchanged. If you say, "I really want to do this," it doesn't come. So I've conditioned myself never to have great ambitions.
How would you like to be remembered?
I'd like to remember as a good actor. That's what I like. Because I sometimes think, have I got away with this? But I do like doing what I do. And I like to entertain, really, because that's my job.
And to borrow a line from Willie Nelson, you know, if you could have a message to all the girls you've loved before, what would it be?
I love you, darling.
All of them?
All of them.
Nigel Havers, thank you very much.
Thank you for asking. You're brilliant.